Welcome back, everybody. Welcome back to Let's Talk About It. I am super excited this week to bring you guys a really cool episode, man. I've been following them along myself for a couple of years now, and they obviously follow my favorite team of all time, which is Club América. So without further ado, I have both Dylan and Ivan from the Eagle Eye podcast. What's going on?
Hey,
people?
man, how's it going? Yeah, thanks for having us.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, what's going on? What's going on?
Not much, man. Not much. Just trying to figure out this damn heat out here in Phoenix right now. It's extremely hot, but hey, we'll make it through. We'll make it through.
No doubt. Funny enough, we were just talking on the side, me and Dylan, before we got on here, and we were just having the same rant about the heat and how terrible it is. He's over there in Texas. I'm over in California. It just seems like it's hot no matter where you go.
Exactly. Well, I mean, thank you guys so much for joining us. But, definitely I talked a little bit about it. You guys are the hosts, the creators of the Eagle's Eye podcast. And first and foremost, man, if you guys can just run me down, how did this idea come about? And what made you guys make the decision of all right, this is something that we're starting?
Dylan, do you want to go ahead and tell him? Because I think it's really Dylan's story to tell here.
Yeah, so man, was it 2018, 2017? Somewhere around there. I was still in college, and I actually stumbled upon Ivan. I think he was doing a career mode of FIFA, live streaming it on YouTube. And there was a couple people in the chat, and so I joined too, just watched everything. And I just randomly messaged him, hey, do you want to do a League of Yankees podcast? We started off just talking about the league. But then we kind of grew into each other and talked more, and we realized we both liked the America, and so we're just let's just do an America podcast. And so from there, we follow each other on Twitter, talking, texting each other back and forth and everything. And I think it was the apertura of either 2017, 2018. I think the first time we did it, I think the club was about to play Santos and go into the Guia and everything. And so from there, then we just pretty much started. We did about 3 episodes for the apertura, and then whenever the season came to an end, then we just kind of talked about it. Said, okay, now we got a full season. We're just brainstorming ideas and everything. So that's how the podcast came to be, really.
That's pretty crazy. And Ivan, what do you think about just some random kid who joined your live stream shooting you a message about doing this, man?
Oh man, when I go back and I think about it to this day, it is kind of the most random thing possible, right? But I mean, I'm very thankful that he did what he did, because to this day I say it changed my life for the better. I've always wanted to do something to kind of be able to speak and have a voice for America in English, and so the fact that he came and presented the idea, like you said, we workshopped some stuff. We actually podcasted without having an actual name first. So we just kind of hopped on. We just kind of did our thing. And then, like you said, the tournament ended for America that season. Going on into the new year, we thought, okay, maybe we should probably give ourselves an adequate name. So we brainstormed a couple of ideas. I remember I was at work, excited, thinking, okay, I jotted down a bunch of names and I sent him on a sticky note. I sent a picture to him. I'm like, hey, what do you think about these ideas? So really, it's crazy to think that your whole life can change off just a message like that. But yeah, grateful and thankful for everything, and really just it's been an amazing roller coaster from this point on.
Yeah, man, that's awesome. And so obviously you guys touched base on it a little bit, but what made you guys do the decision of hosting everything off in English? Obviously, Club América is such a big team in Mexico, and a lot of the followers are Spanish speakers. So what was that thing for you guys that said, hey, you know what, we want to do this, but we want to do it in English?
I'll let Dylan piggyback off of this, but I think we kind of coincide with the fact that at the moment, the Liga MX English movement was kind of picking up. Yeah. It was getting some traction, right? You're talking about FootMex Nation with the Mexican soccer show. People like Cesar or Tom Marshall, shout out to them, because they're pioneers of what this English community is at this point. But it took traction at that point, and we kind of just wanted to jump on and have that representation of, hey, look, my roots are from Mexico. I represent myself from the Mexican League, and I want to give a part of that back to the community and be part of this movement. And so we saw it out, and we thought that this was an opportunity because there's a lot of people that do speak English, both languages, and sometimes you prefer to hear your news, from someone that isn't yelling in Spanish on Fútbol Picante at 9 p.m. every night, right? So we just thought, it'd be cool to jump on the movement and be able to deliver news in English.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Like Ivan said too, that was a really big thing for me too, because Spanish isn't my first language, nor is it my best language either.
Yeah.
But just to be able to have that type of of the news coming at me in English too was really beneficial to me to understand what's going on in the league, even the national team and everything too. And of course, at the time, there was nobody really covering America in English, and so being able to, like Ivan said, have that opportunity and to be able to talk about the club, in English, and especially for those who want the news in English too, then that was a great opportunity for us, and that's where we decided to kind of bounce on the idea, and here we are now.
Yeah, I love it, man. And honestly, I think it's such a cool thing that you guys do, because obviously I'm second generation Mexican, right? My parents were born out here. I was born here in the United States. And honestly, only thanks to my mom do I know Spanish, but I feel more comfortable speaking English. It's what I speak at my work. It's what I speak on a daily basis with my friends. And it's so cool that you're kind of giving a representation for those people who kind of feel the same way, right? Like, you love a big part of Mexico, but you kind of would rather just hear it in your native language that you kind of speak on every single day. So I really feel, this is just my own personal opinion, sometimes Mexican Americans, you kind of don't fit anywhere, right? You're too American to be Mexican. You're too Mexican to be American. And so you guys just kind of bridge the gap on there, and I absolutely love it. Like, hearing something about your favorite team and just the language that you feel more comfortable is an absolutely blast, man. And that's honestly the reason why I started following you guys randomly one day, is I came upon it on Twitter, and I was like, this is such a cool concept, man. So thank you guys, honestly.
No, thank you. I mean, I think we do it for people, especially like you. And I think that was the vision we had in mind, right? It was to be able to, like you say, bridge that gap. Because it's not easy, like you said, it's not easy to fit it in that concept, right? And I mean, we've in our short spell with Club América, whenever we did podcasts on their YouTube, it went south. It went sideways.
It was really bad.
All the Mexicans from Mexico were saying, "Why are you talking in English? What's going on? Get these guys off the air!" Like, yada yada yada. So you're right. Like, it's hard to fit in. Sometimes you kind of have to make your own category and your own little niche, and so it's kind of funny in that sense.
Yeah, no, trust me. I get it. I've been in those situations as well. And so, obviously you guys have had this journey here for a couple of years now. What is the thing that drives you guys to continue to do it? Because obviously starting something like this, there could be some times where life comes at you, a lot of different things. So what's that motivation to continue and continue to put episodes out and continue on with the project?
Like you kind of said, life has really happened, because obviously, I was still in college whenever we started this. So, I mean, my time was a little bit more free. There were a lot of times I chose making sure we put out an episode more than studying.
Yeah.
So, but the grind has been really real, and sometimes it's really hard. I mean, especially like now, there's a lot of episodes I'm not a part of, especially whenever I was able to start my career, after graduating college. Working evening schedule, didn't allow me to do it, especially whenever it worked out schedule wise for like Ivan and Christian and, now the other guys, AJ and Chris. So there's a lot of times that I miss out on those episodes and don't be a part of it because, life stuff. But I think what motivates us too is, we've obviously received a lot of great feedback, especially too whenever we got started and whenever it was like a lot of the pioneers for this Liga América, the English movement, and people would ask, what's a good, America podcast, or, what are some of the podcasts that are in English that are out there right now? We would always get mentioned. And so me and Ivan always felt like we were doing something right. And so then just reading some reviews and, hearing people like, even tag us and, of like, this is a good resource for getting your club news in English. I think that's what motivates me, especially to, keep going and everything, and, to keep recording and talking about the club, because we get these positive reviews, we get this positive feedback, and we know people are listening to us. People are enjoying the product that we're putting out.
I love it.
Yeah, I second that in the sense that, it really is about giving back to the community that we've established. And in that sense, we try to do our best. Life does get in the way. Personally speaking, myself, there was a point where I left the podcast, right? When I made the announcement, I left because, life started getting crazy. But there was always a sense of something was missing whenever I was absent. And, people would be like, come back. And there was always that sense of like, could this podcast do more if I was able to kind of give and devote myself again to it? But from the beginning, I think the one thing that always, at least for me, motivated me was the love I have for this club. I live and breathe and die by this team.
Yeah.
Like it is who I am. And that's the reality of it. And I think that speaks for most Americanistas. That's kind of how you have to go about it. That you wear the badge on your heart because that's just the way it is. And it's kind of how the saying goes, right? No le vas a la América, eres de la América.
Yeah.
So it's that's the case, and that's how I always thought. And so for me, that was always the case, and still is to this day. And now I have an even extra motivation because, I recently have a son, and so I want to be able to do something that he can go then and look back and be like, well, this is cool. My dad did something like this when no one else was doing anything like it. So it's just an added motivation now to keep going and to keep striving. And sometimes I got to get on top of these guys too, but it's part of the fun of it all too. At the end of the day, because to be honest, what we've built is not just a friendship. It's really a family that what we have here at the Eagle Eye Podcast. He mentioned the other guys, Christian, AJ, and Chris, all ultimately are beneficial and important more than me and Dylan sometimes, to be honest.
Yeah.
So it wouldn't be functional without them as well. And to have them be part of our lives now is something really special. And I think that, again, gives an added motivation to keep pushing and keep striving and keep trying to do something to be able to, not just produce the best, but also find a way to give back to the English community that welcomed us.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. That's congratulations on your son, by the way. And it's
Thank you.
I hear you speaking about like América no le vas, eres, and you just feel it. Like it's the reason why I got home from work and I threw my jersey on because you're just so proud of it. It becomes part of your identity. It's one of the first things I tell anytime I meet a Mexican. I'm like, soy de la América, just so that we can take it off the board because they're either gonna love me or hate me right off the bat. So I definitely get that, man. Which is it's absolutely amazing. There was one thing that you mentioned on there, and really the big thing for me is what got you to becoming an América fan. I think that's always a really, really cool story. So what was it? Was it a game? Was it a day? Was it your parents? Like, what was it that made you become a fan of this team?
I'll answer mine because it's a little more quicker, but I'll let AJ follow up because I think his story's a little cooler. Yeah. But for me, it was really just a generational thing, which is kind of what happens with a lot of us now, right? It is my dad went for them. I saw him watch the games every weekend with my uncles, which I think was a huge part of me becoming an Americanista too, seeing all my uncles together, surrounded in the couch, in a little tiny TV, screaming goal, whenever we did score. And I was, lucky enough to kind of growing up and fall in love with the team around that 2005 era where they won that championship with Cuauhtémoc Blanco and Ochoa and goal and all that stuff. So, that really ultimately cemented it for me to become an Americanista, mainly because of my dad, and then ultimately watching it and falling in love with the club. It's really what it's all about.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah, and for me, it's actually funny because a lot of my family is from Coahuila, and so you think Coahuila played Torreon and Santos, and my dad is a Santos fan, but I was like, no, I'm gonna pick America, and for me, it's the first title I saw them with. It was 2012 against Cruz Azul, with the Moises Munoz goal to tie things up, and everything. Man, like whenever I was watching that, as a fan, I felt the passion. I felt it so much, and I was like, this is freaking great. And just to see, you go to PKs, I was nervous and everything. but just seeing the way like Piojo was reacting on the sidelines as they were getting closer and closer, I was just like, man, like this is awesome. Like I love this club. Like I'm seeing them with my own eyes. I'm seeing them live their first title as a fan and everything. And so I was just like, this is my team. Like this is it. Like I'm never leaving this club. Like I'm gonna be on board for the rest of my life with this team.
I love it, man, and I think that final is obviously the final that brought in a lot of people, or it's a final that you can talk to for the rest of your lives, and it's going to give you chills for kind of going back into it. But that's absolutely awesome. So kind of the thing that I wanted to speak to both of you guys and just have a little bit of fun of here is, what is your all-time lineup for Club América? I'm always interested to hear, for this, because obviously there's always a little bit of debate on there, but who and we'll just go each position though, but who would you guys pick at goal for your all-time starting 11?
I'll go, but if you allow me, I'd like to hear your story as to how you became an Americanista.
Yeah, for sure. Funny enough, most of my family is actually from Guadalajara. So they're actually, I come from a family of Chivistas. And so when I finally started to get into soccer, I used to live in apartments and a bunch of my friends started playing it. And one of their parents had it on, and it was the first game I ever saw was América versus Necaxa game, and it was the team where you had Cuauhtémoc Blanco and Pipino Cuevas and El Piojo Lopez and Kleber Boas, and it was such. I fell in love with the style of football, the amount of goals that they were scoring, and I was just like, that's it, like that's the team that I want to go for. Plus, there was also a little bit of me that loved that I was going to be against my whole family, like I was going to be the black sheep of the family, and then they were going to hate that I went for them. And so I loved it, man, from the moment that my family started to, speak trash to me during the Saturdays or Sundays games. It became a thing. And I think that's what led me to love the team even more. It's like, you either love us or hate us, there's no in between. And I received a lot of hate, but I thrived in it. Plus the team just was spectacular at that time. So that's honestly how I became a fan.
Dude, that is awesome, because I'll tell you this, shout out to you, because those were dark times that came right after that. So the fact that you stuck through that, it really showcased that you were a fan, because you saw them lose a title, and then you saw us go through the worst spell that I've ever seen in my entire life. Possibly getting relegated at one point, to then shooting up to where we are today. So shout out to you for being the fan that you are, because that's not easy, man.
Oh, trust me. I was there during the Armando Navarrete's days, which I hated, the dude as a goddamn goalkeeper. I was there during, Torito Cuevas and just random players that we were getting for no reason. And like the excerpts of them, managers that came in, it was brutal. It was brutal. And I would get made fun of for a lot of years, especially from my friends that were all Chivistas fans as well. But once you go for them, you can't go back, and you're never going to give up.
No, absolutely. Absolutely. All right, well, we'll revert back to your original question, which was goalkeeper. And then this one's an easy one. Anyone who knows me and follows me on social media knows that the obvious answer has to be Ochoa. Hands down, always will be. And I will live and die on the hill that Ochoa is the best goalkeeper in the world. And that is just who I am.
I love it. I love it. I mean, I think that there's a couple of different people on there that I've loved. I think one of the big ones for me was Adolfo Rios, because that's kind of how the team started off with. But yeah, I think you can't argue that Ochoa has become the greatest goalkeeper in Mexican history. That's just in my own opinion. So how do you not put him in the starting 11? All right, let's talk about this defense then, because there's been a lot of great players that have come and played for us defensively. So what is that defense looking like?
Dylan, I answered first, and the last question. I'll let you take this one first.
For this one, this was one of my favorites, because obviously I can't go back to saying the 2005 squad like Ivan talked about and really those dark times. So it's funny enough, because we've done these starting 11s, but we've done players that we've seen since we've been fans, and then we've done a meme. And then we've done a meme, but one of the players, especially at center back, and I think Ivan already knows where I'm going with this, but my favorite center back, leading up to this is going to be Mosquera.
Aquivaldo
So I'm
Mosquera.
gonna put Mosquera. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Funny story. My girlfriend was actually just in. She took a family trip to Leon 2 weekends ago, and she ran into Aquivaldo Mosquera. And I was lucky enough that my girlfriend loves me, so she asked him to take a video and shout me out. And I was fangirling for like 30 minutes, bro. I was, swear to God, I love Aquivaldo Mosquera too.
That's dope, dude.
That's awesome. That's really awesome. Yeah.
Ivan, what do you got at center back, man?
Center back. So he said Aquivaldo. I'm gonna have to go with. This is a hard one. I didn't necessarily see him play, but I've seen all the videos. I've seen everything. He's the biggest representation of what an Americanista is. Aside from Cuauhtémoc Blanco, I'd have to say it has to be Alfredo Tena.
Yeah, the captain. You can't go wrong with the captain going back there.
He is the captain.
Yeah. I will give you guys a name that I think has definitely lost some. I think we started to hate him towards the end of his career at the team, but honestly, Bruno Valdez becoming the top going scorer in the center back position for the team. And when he first came in, obviously the dude was absolutely beast. I honestly really, really liked him, and I kind of hated that his trajectory went down. He's obviously doing really horrible at Boca Juniors right now as well. But for me personally, I think he has to be back there as well.
Yeah. And that's a good shout. I mean, if you're thinking about it, he won a couple titles with America, so you're not wrong for mentioning him. He came in, and the thing with Bruno Valdez, I think, was the injuries that kind of always downgraded him just a little bit.
Yeah.
Obviously, this last one was the one that kind of killed it for him, but he always had potential, and I did like him. A lot of people always say that I look like him. I don't know why. I really don't see it. I'll be honest. I'm being honest right now. I don't see it.
I think if your hair was a little bit curlier, I could definitely see it. Yeah, I could definitely see it.
Yeah. So I post selfies sometimes. They're like, Bruno Valdez? I'm like, no. But no, it's a good shout. Definitely.
Yeah.
All right. So give me one center midfielder, whether it's a wing, whether it's at the center. What do we got?
How about I give you a center midfielder and a center attacking midfielder?
Yeah.
Because I think they kind of go hand in hand. For me, I think we've been lucky enough to have some of the best, but I would have to say, Reynoso takes that center mid spot hands down. Okay. I know a lot of people from the nostalgia period would say maybe you put in Guido Rodriguez.
Yeah.
Then absolutely amazing. But I put in Reynoso, and then I think at center attacking mid, the guy who's creating everything, it has to be Cuauhtémoc Blanco. There is no better 10. And I don't think there ever will be a better 10 as long as we all live.
Yeah, 100% agree. I think that without a doubt, he's the icon and will always be the icon of the team. That's the maximum icon that you can ever have and that you ever want to have, honestly.
Yeah. I even didn't give Cordova enough time with the 10. So.
Wait, are you a Cordova fan?
Yeah, I guess not.
Yeah.
No, I'm not really a Cordova fan, but I know how much Ivan has his moments with them, so I just like to bring that up.
The running joke on the podcast and on Twitter is that I have this agenda against Cordova, and maybe I do. I haven't really noticed it, but he just never produced with America the way I wanted him to, and highly because I ranked him very highly, like up there to be potentially one of the best. And so, he slacked off a bit, the whole Pecho Frio situation.
Yeah.
And I would always find a way to, criticize him whenever he did something good at the end of the day. And so that's the on-running joke that, I'd always have something against him.
And then Ivan loved it when he got to number 10.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I can only imagine. Dylan, what do you got for us at center mid, man?
Man, one of the players that I really loved too watching, especially whenever I started following the club, was Negro Medina.
Oh wow!
Yeah, I thought I really liked him a whole lot. I know Chris gives me stick about it because he was like he didn't need the 10, which I could agree with, but Medina was one that I really enjoyed watching whenever I started following the club.
Yeah, honestly, I think Negro Medina is a little bit underrated at the team. He's more of a low-key player that came in and always just did his job. Plus, a lot of his free kick goals were just absolutely amazing. I love the shout out for Negro Medina. That's great.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
All right, who do you guys got at your forward?
Oh, this is
There's been
beyond
so many.
difficult. This has been great, and I kind of don't want to give any more throwbacks because I feel like that's cheating. As far as people that I have seen play, and we've been lucky to have a couple of really great players. Man, I think greatest of all time, I have to put Salvador Cabañas up there. I mean, the way he would finish, the way he would just bring down a ball like if there was like a feather, literally a feather. And the crazy goals he would score just are beyond me. Like you go and you watch some of these goals, you still think to yourself, how on earth did he score these? And it's physique too. Like you don't think he'd be fast, but he was quick. And obviously, he was a little bit bigger, so he was able to kind of muscle his way around the box as well. And he was just, he could have been a poacher from outside of the 18, headers, whatever you wanted him to do, he was capable of doing that and much more. So for me, it's got to be Cabañas.
I love it. Dylan, what do you got for us, my man?
Man, for me, honestly, and I feel like I'm just cherry picking off of just teams that I've seen, but for me, it's Chucho. It's Chucho Benitez, and I say that because I still faintly remember where I was. I was visiting family in LA whenever I found out that he had passed. I still remember the tacos I was eating. I still remember walking out and just like feeling crushed. I was like, man, like this dude was just with America, and then he went off and where do you go to the Middle East to play,
Yep.
and all of a sudden he's gone. Like I'm just, so like that crushed me. But like watching him, and especially the little time we got to see of him and Raul Jimenez, like that was just something for me. But I had to pick Chucho.
Yeah, I love it, man. I love it. Honestly, I think for me it would be Kleber Boas. That was just one of the. He was amazing when we had him. Back in the day, his partnership with Cuauhtémoc Blanco was just absolutely amazing. And so to me, that was just the guy who made me fall in love with the team. And so for that reason, he has to go on my starting lineup. Thank you guys for just, picking a couple of the players or a couple of positions there. I would hate myself and my fans would hate myself if I didn't ask you some questions around tacos, because obviously we're called Let's Talk About It here. What is your all-time favorite taco, my man?
Ooh, all-time favorite taco.
Yeah, like what?
Mine's tacos de lengua.
Ooh, tacos de lengua. Okay.
Yeah.
See, mine's difficult because if you ask me what do I normally get, it's asada, right? Or bistec if you go down to Mexico. But if you ask me truly, what I would love to get is al pastor. Like if you find a place that has a tronco and you know that they're doing it right, then it's got to be al pastor. Like there is nothing better. Okay. So for me, it's got to be al pastor.
Cool. What are the must-go toppings on your taco? What must it have in order to be a complete taco for you guys?
Okay, I'm going, obviously, cilantro, cebolla. I know some people are like, ew, cebolla. But just grow up, guys. Put it on. It's going to change your life. Trust me. And then, I'm a diehard salsa verde guy, but lately I've been on this red salsa trend, so maybe a mix of both.
Okay, a little bit of both. Dylan, what do you got for us, man?
For me, I gotta squeeze a lime on my tacos, and it's gotta have the cebolla, the cilantro, and it's gonna be both red and green salsa.
See, I'll be honest with you guys. This is one of the things that I get clowned on, and I get called a fake Mexican on because I don't like any toppings on my tacos except cilantro and lime. That's it. I go plain every single time, and so that's exactly why I'm being called a fake Mexican for the longest times. Last but not least, right? Is there just a favorite taco place that you guys have that you guys want to give a shout out to, or like a good memory that you guys have while eating tacos that you guys want to throw out there?
I mean, you want to go first? Mine's a little bit of a long story.
Okay, I'll go. I've had a couple of good tacos in my lifetime, but as far as right now, as what I have close to home, shout out to Tacos Dos Potrillos. They have the authentic trompo,
okay.
So I get the al pastor there, and they have tortillas hechas a mano, so it's good. It's really good. So for me, it's shout out to them. That's where I go. And then one of my fondest memories eating tacos. Oof, man, this is tough. I mean, I've had a lot of good ones, but I'll keep it in relation to to the Eagle Eye podcast, one of my favorite memories in tacos is me and Dylan were covering a game in Houston, and we went to go get that's what they call Dylan breakfast tacos over there.
Yeah.
So it was just a really nice moment to share with Dylan. We woke up in the morning, got some breakfast, got some tacos, and then on our way we went to go cover the America game. So it was just one of those nice little memories to have.
Yeah, for
Wait,
sure.
was that the place we got menudo too?
Yes, we got menudo from there too. I think,
Oh, yeah.
we doubled up. Oh, we doubled up. We got tacos and menudo.
You got to. It's a must. It's a must. You got to load up.
Oh yeah, no, definitely. That menudo, I think me and Ivan said that's probably the best menudo we've ever had.
What do you got for us, Dylan?
So, I'm originally from West Texas, so like I come from towns that like at least half of the population is Hispanic. But when I moved out here to Wichita Falls, I got here and I was like, where the hell's the raza at? Like I could not find nobody. And I was like, oh my gosh, like I'm not gonna have tacos or nothing. So the taco truck I want to get a shout out to is called Tacos y Salsa Don Chuy. The first time I went there, and I knew it was gonna be good because they only took cash.
Oh,
They only took cash, and they're outside like this convenience store. And so I was able to place my order and then go into the convenience store and buy jarritos. And then by the time I came out and saw the tacos they got me, I was like, oh my gosh, like this is it. And then by the time I went back to the station to eat, I was like these are probably hands down the best tacos in town. So just a little shout out for them.
For sure, man. Well, honestly, guys, thank you guys both for taking some time to kind of come and talk to me around, you guys' podcast. Big shout out to your guys' podcast. And so if you guys just want to let everybody know where they can find you guys and where they can follow you guys at.
Yeah, no, of course. You guys can follow the podcast at Eagle Eye Podcast, whether it's Twitter, Instagram, Threads. Now we're on Threads, guys. Don't think we're not hip and cool with the young crowd. So. And make sure you guys follow us there. You guys can listen to us. Just look up the Eagle Eye Podcast, and you guys should see us right there. Sometimes you get the Philadelphia Eagles. We get confused by them a lot. So, but don't worry, they're green, we're yellow, so it's kind of easy to distinguish. So, we drop 1 to 2 episodes every week. We keep you guys up to date with everything. So make sure you guys go subscribe over there and listen to us. And then you can find me personally at Ivan Pineda 83 on Twitter or Pineda Ivan 83. Oh wait, no, Pineda Ivan 17 on Instagram. So it's a little difficult to kind of manage those, but and also huge shout out to we mentioned them already, but the guys that are part of the podcast as well. Without them, wouldn't be possible. AJ, Christian, Chris, and then of course our sponsors, which are Foot Cult, which is an amazing brand that has been made by 2 of our very good friends, which is Miggy and Brian. So shout out to them, doing amazing things, guys. So make sure you guys follow them on Twitter as well.
I love
it. I mean, also too, Apple Podcasts, wherever you get your podcast and everything, we're there too, and everything. So just look out for us, and give us a listen. We know you'll enjoy it.
Thank you. Well, everybody, that is it for this week's episode. We'll see you guys next week. Thank you guys so much.